the same old people that have been benefiting since time immemorial. Because if we don't invest in this data, even the schools are now affected. Because the education sector is thumping their chests for having 8 million children in school. But they don't know that 4 million are not in school. So who is supposed to get all these children to school? If we have 54% of our population under 18, then all those should be at school, most of them. But when you start celebrating 8 million out of the 15 who would actually be in school, I think then we lose a point. And Margaret was making a submission, and I was asking myself, since 2015, we have not got a national gender audit, even when it is a mandate of the Auditor General to do this audit and give us a report. So how are the women going to calculate their 30% from the PDM? Who is this assessor that is going to give us the figure that this is what women have got, this is what youth have got? And so my critical point here in Uganda is we should invest in data and be serious on data. Even the population of Uganda, you can see, each one has their figure. Are we 50 million? Are we 47? Are we 48? And I think that is an area, if we have to give any service delivery to this country, let us invest in data.
All right. Honorable Kawahenda, thank you so much, Honorable Flavia. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, this intervention on road repairs, internationally, at least 14% of what you give to development of roads should be given for maintenance. Right now in Uganda, what you are giving is about 5%. So it cannot sustain the roads. So the roads, as you build, they will continue. Uganda was peer reviewed in 2008, and it was the 7th and the best at that time. Now the African Commission has said that we should pay the arrears for them to be able to give us all that they've been giving now. And if we could do that, at least we are able to get some money from the peer review mechanism. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Much. Oh, at the back.
Thank you very much, Patrick. My name is Rita Hachiro. I work with Uganda Women's Network. Thank you very much, panelists. My question or comment is really to the Ministry of Finance. First of all, I would like to thank you for appreciating the role of scientists and science teachers in particular. I'm not one of them. By enhancing their salary in the previous budget. My question is, these science teachers, did the enhancement of their salaries match the investment in science, apart from making the few teachers happy? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rita Achiro. Idi Uonet.
I'm Teopista Kiza. I work with African Youth Development Link. I'm glad about the 60 billion that have been allocated to skilling the youth. But if you look at the analysis of our population structure, is that the challenges and problems that youth face emanate from those who became pregnant during COVID. We are not putting a lot of investment into that. And those are the ones that are going to become youth. And if you look at the budget, there is very limited investment into the community mobilization and mindset change, which is supposed to help parents and transform communities towards parenting so that we don't have a lot of challenges with children. So isn't this budget addressing the effects and not the root?
This is Francis Kabuye from the Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises in Uganda. I also want to thank Ministry of Finance for this wonderful budget, speaking from an excellence in the money economy by increasing expenditure on human capital development and private sector development. However, I have two concerns here. Yes, government is moving towards tightening the nuts on unnecessary expenditures, which is very good. But have we thought about corruption? Because I've been listening to all the speakers, my previous speakers, and nothing has been mentioned about corruption. Where is the budgetary allocation on the other ends? But now these officers, government officers, are going now to look at other ways of getting money, and that will be through corruption. So what is the budget, what commitment does the budget have towards fighting that? Secondly, it's about government. Automatically, the cost of money is going to increase, and it's going to, of course, make the cost of doing business very difficult for us in the private sector. My question is, what can the Minister of Finance do? Can't we look for alternative sources of funding?
Thank you very much indeed.
Please don't hand over the microphone before.
Sorry.
You have to ask the chair for the microphone. But
Oh, I said thank you, Chair, and I think you didn't get it. Chair, mine is a very quick one. The Honorable Minister mentioned, or the PS mentioned that no vehicles are going to be purchased. What policy is in place through you, Mr. Chair, on the vehicles that are broken down? Sorry, I forgot to say my name. My name is Basil Wanz. Of those persons who participated in the analysis of how we can work together with government entities to budget for the needs of the people. Now, I'm saying this because, Honorable Minister, the vehicles that are broken down, if we could take count, you'll be shocked and surprised as to how many of those vehicles actually can function. They can be repaired at a very little cost. So I would request you to put a policy in place to ensure that every vehicle that has been broken down as a government vehicle must be on the road. Thank you very much.
thank you very much. I'm going to take 3 more here, there, and this side. 3 more views.
My name is Lydia Mubiru. I work with Alias County, Uganda. And of course, like all the speakers have spoken to the increase in the financing that has been put for human capital development. Human capital development is covering, it's a whole on issues that are ongoing. And we know that the Alias and the children, the foundations and the investment made in the foundations make a whole lot of difference over a couple of years to the different things that we are now spending on that we could spend much less on in the future if we were investing in the children. About human capital development and the money that has been allocated for it, how do we actually break it down to come down to the children, to the community? Personally observing that we are talking a lot about the financial inclusion aspect of the parish development model, and you can see that that is one of them that we are putting a lot of focus on. There is what my colleague has talked about of mindset change and information and parental attitudes and awareness to understand some of the things that can be done by parents and communities and how we can help as families and communities to support young children, for instance, to access services. So how, when we say we are putting in all this for human capital development, are we just talking about financial inclusion, or we are also talking about the other key components of PDM that are critical to push us forward? Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the extreme left of the auditorium, let's have a microphone this side.
Thank you. I'm Yazid Kalange. I work for VEDCO. Reflecting on our focus for this current budget, we are aiming at things, and most importantly, indirect taxes. In respect to where the PS stated it that the salaries for civil servants this year are not considered for enhancement, I wish to know. We all know that increasing revenue with an increase in tax and direct taxes basically reduces disposable incomes of the nationals. And where we have a constant earning for the civil servant, what quid pro quo strategies do we see in this budget to cater for their livelihood, living standards? Or are we assuming that treating their living standards is a trade-off that could not be ignored for other trade-offs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm taking one more.
Thank you, Chair.
All right.
I've been encouraged to stand up. I'm so advantaged by height.
Okay, Agnes.
My name is Agnes Kiravo. I'm the Executive Director for Food Rights Alliance. I wish to congratulate UPST. Moving from paragraph 80 of the second budget call circular to actually hearing the issues of food occupying this space. So thank you so much for that. It's a step towards the right direction. This population we are talking about are all mouths that must be fed on safe, healthy, and nutrition. That is not going to give you the revenue, that is not going to give you the productivity you want. Now, thank you for the 2.2 trillion. The gist of the matter is to produce what? And as we are doing this post-mortem today, it is my prayer that the discussions we are having here shape the discussions of September 2023. I think we need to come to terms and define our basic investment on food and nutrition and go. But again, millions remain hungry in this country because 2022 alone, 10 million plus were under severe. This is another focus area. But I wish to inform UPST and Honorable Minister that those children in school as we speak today, 7 out of a meal, and for the entire human capital development, the basic is on what are our children being fed on. And how does the budget speak to this? And we should stop thinking that school feeding is expenditure, it is investment. And if we are going to get the returns, we actually have to invest there. And then we are going to reduce on the cost that we are paying in education. Finally, PST, have you reinstated the extension grant at local government? And if you have not done that, I'm assuring you, we are going to lose most of the money that you're going to invest at PDM. Remember, the people you want to invest to are not in the money economy. They don't even understand the money. But you're giving them money to produce trucks being packed need our food. I pray that if you have not reinstated it, please, for the sake of the value of our investment, please do consider and refocus on that.
Thank you. The production, Honorable Minister, actually, there are about 62 trucks stuck in Nimule. Why? Because the South Sudanese thought that our food was not good enough. No, please, no, I'm saying we need to up our game because tomorrow we're going to mass produce and we shall have trucks opted in, and I think they can support the status quo by eating on that money. And maybe the issue of gender, Margaret could respond to it. Thank you.
A lot from sitting here this afternoon. Like we said earlier, budget management is a process. And one of you has said that what we discuss here may inform our roadmap starting September. And this is exactly where is the money for fighting corruption. You well know that we have a number of agencies which are charged with the responsibility of fighting corruption. To mention a few, you have police, you have IGG, you have Parliament, you have Auditor General, you have Judiciary, etc., etc. And all these agencies have been taken care of. I don't want to go to what Julius Mukunda clearly presented much earlier. But when you look at the breakdown, all these efforts aimed at fighting corruption have been taken care of. But on this corruption, my personal opinion is it has to be, we have to deal with the culture. I have seen, even when I was still in Parliament, people begin with what we allocate to them. The MTF, and some of 20 billion, I will return it to you 2 billion. And then you start planning from the money you have. Now you tell me the contractor cannot really do work. We have roads which have stalled. We continue choosing contractors. But when you sit with them, these people are really stressed because the money went back to the decision makers. You have health facilities in districts. I have a case where I was asked that you didn't give me the job. Why are you disturbing me? The people who gave me the job took back all of the money because all the money was taken back. So if we are to deal with corruption, we have to really change our heart there. The controls are in place. We have done everything possible, but overriding controls in this country is the simplest thing you can do at every stage in the process. So you might find, even as we are here in this room, this bill, and you know these things, but you don't want to talk about them. It is me and you who is doing it. So not until we come out and say enough is enough, you will continue to see service delivery being compromised. You will continue of the corruption. But nonetheless, all is not lost. We as government, we shall continue doing what we can, what is possible in our means. And like the president has always said, we are resolved to government taking action. And the evidence can only be got if me and you are willing to provide information. Now, Honorable March has raised the point on the expenditure on the roads. Much of the money should go to maintenance, and this is the direction we have taken. We shall build the key roads, yes, but much of the money is now going to maintain the existing drainage. The drainage is compromised by the climate change effects, which Dr. Kalista has been talking about, and nothing is done. Year in, year out, and you find we are losing a road where we spent a lot of money because we have not maintained. But what we decided in the cabinet is that going forward, let us look at maintenance more and less of construction, especially in these years when we don't have resources, when we are struggling to manage the expenditures. Honorable Flavia Kabahenda, the data, yes, I agree with you. I know the efforts are on to get the data for PDM and other government interventions, but at a slow pace. In most cases, we go there And when we get challenges, we start working backwards. This must change. When I arrived at the ministry, I found people were budgeting, then they follow budgeting with planning. I asked them, gentlemen and ladies, what are we doing? You know, change is not easy. When you are changing things, you are destabilizing the status quo. You are destabilizing comfort zones of people. But I agree with you. In whatever we do, you need to have the necessary tools, the necessary data, if you are to achieve the impact. For instance, you are saying, if you are saying 10% of the PDM money should go to PWDs, what about in parishes where they are not? Do you know that you answer this? Not until we get data, that this question can be answered. And I know the efforts are on. We shall to achieve the desired results. Enhancement of teachers' salaries vis-a-vis investment in equipment and other things. Is it Professor Nwagaba? Yes. Who said that one of the reasons why we adopted program-based budgeting was to achieve coordinated implementation of government programs. Deploy science teachers to a school where there are no laboratories. And it has happened. It is for all of us. Even you, sometimes the civil society have done this. I think the answer here is to implement program-based budgeting in full. Put a teacher, put a structure, except feeding our policy as government responsibility to give food to your child. I want us to be clear. All of these children we have produced, we give them to government to feed them. Then what is our role as parents? It must be shared responsibility. And food for your child. I attended a church school, and I think a primary school later on, before UPE. I was moving a distance of, my mother would give me entanda every morning. It didn't stop me from going through primary education. But here, government has sent a school to a distance of less than 2 kilometers, because at every parish now, there is a school. It has put a teacher, it has put everything. And now here you are, we are saying to achieve complete investment, let's give, government should go ahead and give milk, give what, give what? Really passionately talk about these things. I think Francis is the one who asked about corruption. Basil said the vehicles, I used to see vehicles in good condition of theirs. I don't know whether they are still there. I've taken wrong without passing up Amrago. And many others are there. Even in the local governments. I think this conversation is timely. How I wish Julius Mukunda would do. We don't have to audit. We see these assets by our eyes. I think we need to, and when to maintain. But I think useful lives are still really good. So it is something, Julius. Julius, you can tickle us. This is Lydia. Then Agnes. Agnes is Agnes, your point, I think it comes back at planning, because the 2.2 trillion for food security. Seen this. Even recently, we spent money on what was it, Ali? The money we gave to prisons and other things. To do much and other things. But the impact is hard to see. What changed after that? So I think we need to really keep talking about these things. And also, and that's why we have insisted that can you really convince us to be always emphasized. On the lunch, I answered you, extension grant. Then he's saying, you see, I am concerned that we are looking into this and he expects it to be a supplementary. Who asked us to reduce supplementaries? Yes, it was Julius. This challenge must stop. We must bring it, at some stage, we must bring it to an end. 2011-16, and part of 10th, we would do 2 budgets. Then I asked, I think it was him, that time he was the minister for general mentally. Why do you now begin foreseeing, as he highlighted, now this year we shall close at 2.9 trillion. And only one to you and the country, supplementaries within the legal provisions of 3%. It is achievable. So, Ali, this year we may do this, but next year, I want to thank you. The panelists will supplement me. And also, most important, our budget strategy for 2024-2025. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, could it also be that sometimes these supplementary budgets realize that you have nothing else to do but to bring a supplementary ransom? All right, we are coming to the end. I want to give each one of you a few seconds there, please, just 30 seconds.
Chair, I'd like once again to reiterate our thanks to the ministry for the work done, and we will continue engaging the ministry to ensure that the private sector keeps on increasing its productivity and production, and as well as search for the market.
Ours is a natural resource-based economy in the short to medium term, even longer term. So climate change is here to stay with us. We need to build resilience to climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhumuza.
I think I'm just happy that conversations are beginning. We still need more tough decisions to take. Next year, we're going to be spending 2.8. Budget divided by 365 days. These are the and you don't just cut budgets. I think Andrew Mwenda made it clear. You don't rationalize agencies by addition. You rationalize functions, then you come back to see what is going to happen. But I'm glad this management, but he also has to come and say what exactly creates the debt. If we are going to have agencies take to the World Bank and say this is a project for us, and then we sign the project, is really going to be tough. We are going back to the 90s. We need those decisions where even Mr. Museveni was convinced to shed off 60,000 soldiers to save the economy. And we did.
Thank you very much. Getting back to budget credibility, because all the issues we talk about, at the end of the day, debt and whatever they come from, this is the real cause. So moving forward, things that we have started on, like, and that all the political stakeholders seem to agree that we should actually look again at these institutions. So we need to deepen and see how far we can go. But on the opportunities, I just wanted to come back with one comment. I talked about food, and discussion on tourism tickled me. And my question to government, to everyone, we sing about this potential, but what exactly is? Rwanda has fewer gorillas than Uganda. It has more tourists, maybe 10 times as much. We share the same. They don't just end up in Kenya, but also come to Uganda, or even come to Uganda and then think about other destinations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause to the panelists this evening. And please, you could take your seats. Thank you very much. That information will be very important. Okay. May I invite UDN to give us a wrap-up and then the closing.
Thank you very much, Patrick, our panelists and participants. Once again, Christine Birinchiro from Uganda Debt Network. And very briefly, there are some key issues or actions that were recurrent in our discussions. Number one is regarding debt, responsible debt acquisition and management. It is clear that we need fiscal discipline, decrease domestic borrowing, as well as non-concessional borrowing. And so these are some of the actions that will probably follow up and follow through with the responsible centers to ensure that they are actioned. Number two, rationalization of agencies. And this will very much. This will also include rationalizing government fleet, including disposal of the existing fleet that is not heavy investment in the human capital development, more productive. But two, beyond the figures that we invest in this program, we need to look at efficiency, to look at capacity building for the private sector, especially in terms of skilling, among others. Then we look at investment in data and statistical systems. And then finally, but not least, the need to build infrastructure that for financing climate change and mainstream climate change financing in our national plans and budgets. At this juncture, allow me to invite the Executive Director of Accord, Dr. Arthur Bainomugisha, to close this dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my sister. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a... Yeah, sometimes it's important to appreciate yourself if no one appreciates you. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the organizers, Accord, CS BAG, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, NBS Television, UDN, and other civil society fraternity. I want to thank you for even braving, sitting here. We've gone beyond our time, but this is how actually we measure the impact and effectiveness. It means that we've made sense to you. So thank you very much. So we apologize, we went over,
and above, and next time we want to stick within time because we know that we are very busy people. But this is something dear to our heart, isn't it? The budget and how we recover this economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I know, and yesterday I visited someone who has 2 children that have not reported to school 2 weeks into the term. They don't have the money. So the economy is as bad as that. And the middle class, but doesn't have to on the table for our people is very, very critical. I want to thank you, Honorable Minister, and the Ministry of Finance, and indeed government, for the partnership we have. Because actually we are in this together. Without working together, and this is where actually party lines, this is where political lines or partisanship actually lines disappear. Especially on issues that actually, then afterwards you can play your football. And I see us riding around the flag to recover this economy and move forward. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the panelists. I want to thank the panelists for actually bringing out these issues. And you know the beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen, this is a post-budget dialogue. We may not influence much of what has been done. Actually now, it is how to make this budget implemented effectively. But already the budget has been what? Passed. So our main actually focus now is the 2024-2025 budget. And I'm Honorable Minister and Mr. Ari here. These proposals we have generated here, when we come back here, next, we want you to tell us that they have been captured by the next budget. So that we don't waste our time here. We don't waste our time here. So really here we are riding around the flag. We want to see these things implemented. I tell you, this country is not a poor country. Most African countries are not actually poor. It's everybody watching. I know we are off air now. We are off air, but I wouldn't mind if we were on air. You see, corruption, what is missing in our institutions that fight corruption in our laws is recovery of the root. Because now, this morning I saw that the people who were implicated in the iron sheets have been released on what? On bail. And they will not even go here, and then you come out on bail and eat your money. But even others are ready. I've heard you can go to reserve for 10 years. If they have rooted enough, after 10 years, they'll come out and eat their money. Now, that there's no disincentive for stealing. So, what is missing, the lacuna in our law is recovering that money and leaving them nothing. So, very punitive, and then also recovering our money. So, that is an area, I think, Honorable Minister, because 20 trillion is lost. Annually, I know the PSST explained it. 20 trillion on corruption is too much money on our budget. So, but anyway, to bring it home, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you most sincerely on behalf of our partners. We value your time, and we are going to take this forward with our partners, the Ministry of Finance, to another level. We are going down actually now to the regions to improve, to continue bringing these discussions, socialize our budget, so that our a photo with the minister here. Propose a photo with the minister, especially the panelists. And yeah, panelists, please come and take a photo. This is going to be important for